She was also chosen to attend the Governor's School for the Arts Dance program during her time at Sullivan South. At graduation, Eliza received numerous awards and scholarships, including the Academic Boosters Scholarship, and was a Fred and June Children's Foundation Scholar. Eliza is active in our community as well. She was recently named one of the Appalachian Highlands and Streamworks 20 Under 20. She serves as the youth ambassador for the Isaiah 117 House and also partners with Sullivan County Imagination Library. She has worked with Girls Inc., Niswangers Children's Hospital, Children's Miracle Network, Special Olympics, and the Night to Shine. She attended the Shout Leadership program and was a member of the Kingsport Mayor's Youth Council. Eliza has danced since she was 3 years old and continues to train and perform with Hallway Dance School's performance team. In addition to partnering with Isaiah 117, Eliza is the social media chair for Gen Z adoptees and is also active in a local adoption group called Our China Angels. This past March, Eliza was named second runner-up at the State Miss Tennessee Outstanding Teen Competition, where she competed as Miss Historic Greenville's Outstanding Teen. This fall, Eliza plans to attend Middle Tennessee State University, where she plans to pursue a degree in dance with hopes one day to teach at the collegiate level. She looks forward to serving her community in her role as Miss Sullivan County. Eliza, on behalf of Sullivan County Commission, I would like to present to you a Sullivan County lapel pin.
Thank you.
This is Miss Liza Sanders, Miss Sullivan County.
County, you're recognized.
Well, hi, I'm so excited to be here right now. I grew up watching the Miss Kingsport and Miss Sullivan County competition, and I honestly never thought that I would actually have the opportunity to be here and to be having this job, so I am beyond excited for that. I have grown up in this community, and I am a product of the Sullivan County school system. I believe I'm actually the first Miss Sullivan County that has one that has been out of the Sullivan County school system and from this area, so I think that's pretty amazing. I love this community, and I enjoy serving in this community, and so now I'm just happy that I get to do that in this official capacity. My main goal for this year is to work with Isaiah 117 House and to promote adoption and foster care. One way I would like to do that is by talking to different schools. I would love to go into schools and read to children books that they can understand about adoption, international adoption, and how it is affecting everybody in their community. I will have a message for you about how you can help with adoption, whether you are a school teacher, someone in the community, a business leader. There is always a way that you can help and get involved, even if that means you don't want to foster or adopt. So yes, I'm super excited. I actually had a meeting with the Isaiah 117 House this morning. If you don't know what that is, it is a house that is for children going into the foster care system. So oftentimes those kids have been removed from their homes and they've been through something extremely traumatic, and that's very difficult, and they don't have a lot of time to pack their things. And the last thing that we want them to have to worry about is if they brought a toothbrush or where they're going to sleep for that night. So the Isaiah 117 House provides them a home, provides them with things that they might need, such as clothes. And of course, this is going to cost a lot of money, which is where the community comes in. I want to be able to host a lot of different drives for the Isaiah House, which is what I was talking to them about this morning. So I'm super excited to get started with that as school is starting back up. I am just so honored to be here and to be serving in my community in this way. And if there is anything that anyone needs, I would love to help you or support you in your personal passion project. So please reach out to me. I only have a year to be Miss Sullivan County, and I want to serve here as much as I possibly can. In fact, I was going to be headed to Middle Tennessee to pursue a degree in dance. However, with getting the title of Miss Sullivan County, I have elected to stay here for another year. Middle Tennessee graciously deferred my enrollment, and they're going to hold my place, save my scholarships, and I will be starting my sophomore year at Middle Tennessee, but I have a year here so I can fully be of service to you all and serve in this community. So thank you so much for having me. This has been an honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sanders. We know you'll represent Sullivan County in a wonderful way. Thank you. Next, I have one of the most pleasurable duties that I've had the opportunity to experience while being mayor of Sullivan County. I would like to ask, I'm going to do this from here if I might. I'd like to ask County Attorney Dan Street to join me here. Dan, would you come up? And Ms. Street, would you and your family join us up here? Dan, I hate to surprise you.
Yeah, well, that's a surprise.
But I hope to surprise you a little bit. I have a proclamation I'd like to read. If y'all want to come on up, we'd like to, if I can enlist a couple of commissioners to do the picture for us after this is over. I have a proclamation I'd like to read. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
My son Drew, his wife Auburn, and my grandson Hudson.
Hudson. Thank you all for coming. Proclamation recognizing Daniel P. Street as Tennessee's County Attorney of the Year, presented by the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners. Whereas Daniel P. Street served on the Board of Directors for Tennessee County Attorney Association for many years and was elected president of the association in April of 2019 and continued to serve through July 2021 during the COVID epidemic. Whereas Daniel P. Street is well respected by his peers and was selected as 2021 County Attorney of the Year by the association. Whereas Sullivan County Board of Commissioners also holds Daniel P. Street in high esteem for his knowledge, experience, and counsel to the board. Now therefore, our Mayor Richard Venable, on behalf of the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners, do hereby congratulate and recognize Daniel P. Street on being selected Tennessee County Attorney of the Year by the Tennessee County Attorneys Association. Dan, congratulations. As selected and recognized by the Tennessee County Attorneys Association, Sullivan County Board of Commissioners hereby honors and congratulates Dan Street, Sullivan County Attorney of the Year 2020, 2021. Thanks. If you will, Mark, I thought maybe somebody take one I didn't notice. All right, if you all come back up, let's do this. He may be county attorney. The mayor. We need to record this. Very good.
Thank you.
you all will, send those to my office, we'll make sure they're on the county website. Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda, confirmation of appointments. There is a vacancy on the Bluntville Utility District Board, Utility Board. And as mayor, it's my responsibility to appoint new members of the board. So, whereas Bloomingdale, I said Bluntville, Bloomingdale District Board of Commissioners nominee is Bill Winters and is willing to serve and fill said vacancy. Now therefore it be ordered a judge and decree by Sullivan County Mayor Richard Venable pursuant to TCA Code 7-82-307 that Bill Winters be appointed to the Bluntville Utility Board. Term to expire per the bylaws of the utility district. And let that be recorded by the clerk. Next, we have vacancies on the Sullivan County 911 Board. And the process here is that we take nominations from the 911 Board and ask you to confirm those selections. Whereas in accordance with TCA 7-86-105, Sullivan County Mayor Richard Venable, and upon the recommendation of Sullivan County Emergency Communications Board, hereby makes the following appointments and reappointments and appointments to the Sullivan County Emergency Communications Board. Now therefore be it confirmed by the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners, the following persons are reappointed and appointed to Sullivan County Emergency Board. The nominees from the district are Jerry Flinner of Bluntville, Tennessee, to a term to expire, reappointment to a term to expire August 31, 2025, and J.D. Gregory of Piney Flats, Tennessee, a term to expire August 31st, 2025. Those two are reappointments. Appointments are Amy Brown of Bristol, Tennessee, filling a vacancy of Jerry Malone, term to expire August 31st, 2025, and Andrew Deacons of Kingsport, Tennessee, filling the unexpired term of Terry Jones, term to expire August 31st, 2024. So we have this on the board. When the board, we'll need a motion to approve by Carlton and Gardner second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. When the board's open, cast your vote for the appointment and reappointment of members to the Sullivan County 911 Board. We're trying to fix it. So, yeah, while we're trying to fix this, let's do a roll call vote on this. We've evidently got, my thing says there's a cable not connected and I'm not connected either. So, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote on the appointment and reappointments of members of 911 Board?
Aker,
Yes.
Blaylock, absent, Broughton,
Yes.
Calton, Cole, absent, Crawford,
Yes.
Cross, absent, Crosswhite,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Harkrow,
Yes.
Hutton, absent, Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Burrell,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Starnes,
Yes.
Stidham,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Woods. Woods absent. Would anyone like to change their vote? 19 yes, 5 absent.
Having received necessary majority, the appointments are confirmed by the Sullivan County Commission.
Poor Richard.
Well, while we're still working on the system, we will go ahead and get our next agenda item, which is the approval of the commission minutes from a previous meeting. I have a motion by Crawford, second by Carlton Gardner, to approve those minutes that have been spread on your desk and prepared electronically. Any discussion? Any corrections, additions? Seeing none, might take a roll call on the motion to approve the minutes. We'll do a roll call vote again. We have a motion on the floor.
Akers,
Yes.
Blaylock. Blaylock absent. Broughton,
Yes.
Calton. Cole, Cole absent. Crawford,
Yes.
Cross, Cross absent. Crossbite. Yes. Gardner,
Yes.
George. Yes. Glover,
Yes.
Park Road,
Yes.
Hutton, Hutton absent. Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Stanley. Storms. Stidham,
Yes.
Vance,
Yes.
Woods, absent. Would anyone like to change their vote? 19 yes, 5 absent.
Have received the necessary vote, the minutes are adopted as approved. Of course, we've got some thunderstorms in the area today, so let's just go on with this meeting, and when Bobby's able to get us back on, we'll vote. We'll do it the old-fashioned way that we did it for 140 years. Next up is the approval of the notary publics. Madam Clerk, I'll give you a chance to get caught up. Are you ready to do that? Okay. The clerk will read the list of notary public applications, and then we'll have a motion.
April Joy Aldine, Diana N. Baker, Courtney B. Baker, Connie B. Ball, Jacob Barrett, Andrea Sanchez, Amanda H. Boer, Heather J. Boyd, Jacob P. Bridwell, Francis Brown, Kelly Chisano, Pamela E. Cody, Heather Coonley, Melanie Hurd, Hunter Davenport, Christy Daughtery, Amy E. Fortner, Samuel Hall, Amanda Henson, Skylar Highwater, Kimberly D. Hilton, Megan A. Hopkins, Sharon Hutchinson, Teresa Jacobs, Luke M. Jennings, Donna Kinsler, Theodore Ledgerwood, Lori L. Lloyd, Deborah A. Martin, Laura Morse, Patton D. Mosler, Ashley Newman, Brandy Ramey, Taylor Risney, Sheila Ryan, Tracy Annabelle Sanchez, Chris Sism, Kathy Seaton, Peggy Olivia Sutherland, Blake Charles Thompson, Leslie A. Tiller, Chris Vance, Ayla Valtrin Davis, Carl W. Vogel, Devin Lee Walker, Jonathan Ward, Aaron Wint.
You have heard the list. Is there any objection? Any commissioner may object, and we will remove any objectionable name from the list. sorry. We have a motion by Commissioner Harper Road to approve the list, seconded by Commissioner Pro Tem Gardner. And so I believe we have that on the board. And so when the board opens, please cast your vote on the motion to adopt. This is the one we got hung up last time, so let's hope it goes through. Okay, has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change a vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
19 yes, 5 absent.
Having received the necessary majority of these lists as read is approved and adopted. Next up, we have public comment with Commissioner George, if you would do us the honor of collecting the sheet. And this is public comment not regarding a rezoning issue. So if thank you for that. Okay, the first up on the list without a zoning designation is Angela Smith. Ms. Smith, you're recognized in the well. And if you will give us your name, welcome back. Give us your name and address
We'll probably continue
for
to
the
come back.
electronic record. Thank you.
Angela Smith, Sales Road, Bluff City. Again, it's back to transparency and accountability. As fact checkers continue to check facts, we also request transparency and accountability. Every vote you have cast, every deal you have made, we are checking.
Could you pull your mic down just a little closer to you?
Sorry. I bring the citizens of Sullivan County back to last month's meeting where Mr. Vance requested a special committee to oversee the spending or allocation of nearly $30 million of COVID monies that this county will be receiving. The request for a special counsel to oversee this spending and allocation operation is a wise one. I, for one, would like to see his resolution passed. I would also implore this commission to dissolve the current 2020 Financial Management Act, which will lift the heavy fingers of this committee from trying to micromanage the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the rest of the signups I have on the sign-up sheet indicate zoning issues, so I will ask now if there's anybody else in the audience who would like to address the commission on any issue non-zoning. One more time, if anybody would like to address the commission on a non-zoning issue. Seeing none, I declare the public comment section of the meeting over, and we're back in session. So, Ms. Torvik, we're up to amendment number 1. We have a motion by Commissioner Calton, seconded by Commissioner Gardner, on item number 1 on tonight's agenda, the rezoning resolution. Any discussion? Is that loaded up for a vote? Okay, we have amendment number 1 is on, will be on the board. When the board opens, please cast your vote on the motion to adopt amendment number 1 to allow to your zoning resolutions. Cast your vote. Everyone voted. Anyone wish to change your vote? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
18 yes, 6 absent.
I received the necessary majority. Item number 1 is adopted. Ms. Torvik, you're recognized.
Thank you. Okay, if you will turn with me in your zoning packets, we have 2 cases that went to the Sullivan County Regional Planning Commission last month. The first case is from Robert and Jeannie Burleson, and they own a large tract of property on Deer Lake Road in Piney Flats, and it also fronts along the cove. If you're not familiar with this, across the cove is Hamilton Trail, and this can be accessed off of Devon Ridge Road, Muddy Creek Road area. So their request is to rezone the property from, a portion of the property, from A1 to R1. And in your packet, we also included the proposed layout of the subdivision. So if you'll flip through, you'll see they've already had it surveyed, they've had it soil tested, and consulted with Bluntville Utility to support the subdivision. Again, this request went before the Planning Commission last month. We did not have anyone vocalize opposition prior to the Planning Commission meeting. However, on your desk is a piece of paper, a petition we received today, actually. So I made a copy for you. I believe it has 2 names on it. I did also receive a phone call from a neighbor concerned about a subdivision going in because Deer Lake Road is in the rural area of Piney Flats. And I think they were concerned about traffic and so forth. Just to confirm for everyone in the audience and reaffirm to you all, as you know, the difference between A1 and R1, both support a subdivision. So technically he wouldn't need to be rezoned to support a subdivision. However, the R1 zoning restricts it to site-built homes and modulars, where A1 would allow for a single-wide mobile home per lot. That's the primary difference. And then also in the R1 subdivision, if the soils work out for a septic system, they can go down to a ½ acre as opposed to the minimum 1 acre. But the soils are in favor of the R1 subdivision, although none of them go down to a ½ acre. Most of them are 3/4 to over 1 acre. So it does offer that extra restriction. And then the remaining acreage going down towards the cove will remain A1 for larger tracts in the future. So they've done their homework. It did get recommended in favor unanimously by our Planning Commission. And the surveyor and the owner is here if you have any questions for them.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Torbett on application number 1?
And just to clarify, we're only rezoning, if you so approve, the portion identified on the proposed subdivision plat.
Any questions? Seeing none, my public comment list does not indicate which application that we're having, so I'm going to ask anyone in the public wishing to speak on this that's signed up, if you will, identify yourself. Yes, ma'am, if you'll come forward, and then I'll call the gentleman, and if you will give us your name for the record, please.
Hi there, I'm Stacy Lawrence,
And your address, please.
813 Deer Lake Road, Piney Flats, Tennessee, 37686.
Thank you. You're recognized.
I would like to make mention that the reason why there was no one present at the first meeting is because we weren't notified. The sign only went up about 2 weeks ago, which was after the acquisition of the property. We do have a petition. Sorry we didn't get it here sooner. I didn't know that we needed to present it before tonight. And we have over 171 signatures requesting that you all keep this this tract agricultural. So would you like me to present those to you, Mr. Mayor?
We're having some difficulty with that mic, so we're going to bring you a hand mic. So I ask you just to repeat your last statement.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not used to microphones or speaking. So I just mentioned the only reason that we weren't present at the first one is we weren't notified. And it was told to us that the community had been notified, and in fact only 2 people had gotten notice. So we weren't able to get educated on on the meeting. But we do have 171 signatures here from the community, from Hamilton Trail, from Allison Road, from Deer Lake Road, requesting that you all keep this zone for agricultural use.
Right, if you would like to file that with our clerk, we will make it part of the record, and then Amber can see that we get that. Okay, very good. Anybody have any questions for our guest? Sam, if you, there you go. You're right now, Sam.
Is the community aware that if we don't rezone it to R1, that it could become a mobile home park? He can put mobile homes on that property under the current zoning.
You know, I can't speak for everyone in the community. I didn't know that until now. That is definitely a concern for all of us. So I can't speak for everyone, but I would request time for us to think about it as a community.
I don't know, Amber, what the procedure is if the community requests a deferral till next month.
Okay, so just a reminder, the state law is just that we put a notice in the paper, which of course we do. Our zoning code, you all require that we send letters out to all adjacent property owners, which included everyone that touches and across the road, and we even went across the cove, because we've learned people across the cove have a voice and something that they may see. So we did all of that. And we sent letters out again when the meeting changed, because it was supposed to be today it was supposed to be Thursday for this meeting. So we did that, and then we put the sign, because we do most of our applications through email. The sign did not get handed off to the owner right away, but it was put up. So I apologize to the community that you didn't know about it, although we did get some phone calls, so we were hoping that people would spread the word. We go above and beyond what is required of us to do public notice, and it doesn't always catch everyone, and so obviously 171 went beyond just the immediate area, so, but thank you for that. We do ask that we get petitions ahead of time so we can make copies for all the county commissioners so they can study them before, but it will certainly be added to the record. And the petition is from the owner, so it's really up to the owner if he would like to defer or ask for your vote tonight. Unless you don't feel comfortable voting on it, then that's up to you.
That request, Amber, would have to come
From Mr. Burleson, unless you all want to defer. But it's already been through Planning Commission.
Burleson's want to defer,
He would like to do it tonight.
do it tonight.
And just, can I clarify on the zoning one more time? Just
Please do.
Okay, so it is just for 11 lots in the front portion of his farm. And R1 is for single family, which will allow for site-built homes, one house per lot. If it does not get rezoned for a portion of this, it will remain A1. He can still build a subdivision. It just would not have that restriction of, it would allow for one single wide per lot. So it wouldn't be a mobile home park, but it would still allow one single wide per lot. If it gets sold and that's what someone wanted to come in and get a permit for, we would have to do that. So that's the difference. You're still looking at a subdivision if he chose to pursue it.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Is there anyone else present that would like to speak on this particular application? Yes, sir, come forward. I thought I saw two in the back there, and I know we got one more to go. If you'll give us your, I'm sorry, Randy, just a second, sir. Randy, you recognize.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question was really for Amber, and maybe two questions. Amber, okay, we understand, I believe, about the A1. He could still build houses in an A1, but he would have to have instead of a half-acre lot, he would have to have a 1 acre lot on each one of these.
Yes, sir.
Right?
And if you look at the subdivision plat, they've already had it soil tested. Most of them are over a half acre, some are even over an acre.
Okay, but he still could do the subdivision,
He
he would just
could.
have to
Make the
build
lots
size of
larger.
his lots.
Yeah.
on it. And Amber, one other question, I've run into this before in my own area, and I know it's tough. The signage, when it's put out, you know, I know from my, you know, what I've ran into in my area before, I know you guys do your best to get that signage out, but a lot of times, that's the only way the community really knows, you know, what's really going on.
Right.
And, you know, should the sign have been out a month, 4 weeks, it should have been, okay. It just didn't happen.
It did not go out right away,
Yeah.
and I'll take responsibility for
Yeah,
that.
I'm not-
There's a lot of hands in the application, I apologize.
I know.
It does have our number on it.
I know it's
Yeah.
tough, I just, it'd be great if we could, you know, make sure
Yeah.
the property owner
Yeah.
gets those out sooner.
Well, we've had a few hiccups where we've been doing things via email instead of face-to-face, and,
I know you've got a lot on your plate.
well, I apologize.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now I'll recognize our guest. If you'll give us your name and address, please.
My name's Ron Austin. I live on 420 Deer Lick Road, Piney Flats. My concerns is the road, the sewer lines, the water, where he's putting the road at, how is that going to be bad for people? It's up on the hill. He's putting all them houses right there in the front. I'll pile them up. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. Now, I believe we have one more person that would like to speak on. Yes, sir, if you'll come forward. And give us your name and address, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is James Florence, and 874 Blue Heron Lane.
Mr. Florence, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. My background, I've had 30 years' experience teaching higher education and public health. My concern is in the area of safety and health, particularly public health. I don't doubt that there's going to be some road changes going into the subdevelopment on one side of it. That's going towards it. But after you get that, we have a very unique and unusual situation. We have TVA public land that's just around the corner, less than a mile away, probably about 3/4 miles away. And there's a lot of people in the subdevelopment, we use that, access that. There's a lot of hunting and fishing and things like that, but the roads don't support the traffic that we're gonna see. The roads are one or less than one lane. And so I see a lot of issues and problems with that. People even right now have to get off the road to let people go through that. And that's just around the corner. And so with the subdevelopment that goes in there, that's going to become a public park, so to speak. And I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the travel into the road as far as access, you know, for school buses and that sort of thing. We live in a small rural community. If some of you live in a rural community, you know what I'm talking about. Those that don't, then give us a little bit of empathy, because it doesn't support the type of, I think, business traffic and other things that's going to come into that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now, we have someone else that wants to speak on this particular application. Yes, sir. Come forward. Welcome. Just give us your name and address.
My name is Bradley Bowers, 557 Deer Lick Road, Pine Flats, 37686.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I guess we stoked for a curveball here tonight. You know, I didn't know nothing about the R1, you know. So what I'm gonna ask, which I've got some more stuff here I wanna ask too, but what I'm gonna ask is, I was told that if they do like, I wouldn't say it would be a trailer park. Would it not be a double wides on 5-acre tracts? Can somebody clarify that for me?
That would have to be,
So can they put an acre lot, or a double wide house on an acre lot, is what I'm asking.
Put a single wide on it.
So you can put a single wide instead of a double wide.
Today, as it's zoned
Indicating
now,
a permit.
If we do
Yes.
not change it, that's what you can do.
Okay. All right, well, if y'all got a minute, I'd like to talk a little bit more here, what I had written.
we normally allow 3 minutes, but we want you to have your say, so
All right.
you go ahead and.
Okay,
If
so
the
I
clock
live,
rings up here, I'll let you know,
all
okay?
right, you just let me know. But so I've lived here for 35 years. 2 weeks ago, I seen the signs on the property. You would have thought that the signs would have been put up way before the planning and zoning meeting last month, but it wasn't. And now, here we are, county commissioner meeting 2 weeks later. No one that I talked to did not get any letters from the county. I guess they got lost in the mail. This is very disturbing to me. Not everyone reads the newspapers, nor gets one. People in the community needs to know what's going on in the community. People that I have talked to are fed up. The roads in Piney Flats are the same size they were when they was built. The county has not done any upkeep of winding the roads. When has the county built any new roads? You haven't. So all the new growth to the county cannot withstand the traffic on these roads. The road down Deer Lick is a dead-end road. There are no outlets, and we are surrounded by the water. The road is a narrow, curvy road that the added traffic on this road cannot handle it. The road is falling apart now. When you meet the school bus, you have to pull over to the side of the road to let the school bus go by. And if you don't, you'll sideswipe him. The roads that are, the road that they are wanting to put in on the subdivision property is on a blind hill, very dangerous hill. I have about got hit there many, many times. Also going out towards Piney Flats, at any time, you cannot get through the red light. People are bumper to bumper trying to get out on the main highway. Approaching the property from airport area, the two narrow bridges that the travel area for both of those bridges are 17 feet 10 inches wide. When these two bridges was built in 1952, they wasn't designed to hold the traffic as they are today. Our taxes have been raised for the past 3 years. The plan of the subdivision in the farming and rural area could be financially devastating to the current residents of Deer Lick and the surrounding areas. In conclusion, I really hope that each and every one of you will really think about this, what it will do to our community and our future generations. Thank you.
Mr. Bowers, thank you. You came in right under the bell. Good planning. Do we have anyone else who, yes? Come forward, yes ma'am. Well,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deanna Rich. I live on Allison Road in Piney Flats. I've lived there for 12 years or so, and I've seen the development that has happened since I've moved there, whether it's at the intersection of Allison Road and 11E at the four-way. You know what's happened there in the last 10 years. Everything from Bojangles to Advanced Auto. And as a result of that, the trash and traffic on Allison Road, which is, after all, a residential road. There's no commercial development on Allison Road at all. It's a transit from 11E to the airport. And we've seen at least a tenfold in traffic in the last 10 to 12 years. I get woken up routinely by Jake brakes going down the hill. I live just by the church on the old, Burdine curve. I have about 1,500 feet of frontage from Burdine curve up towards St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Just in the last 2 months, literally in the last 2 months, I've had 4 cars that have left Allison Road and ended up in my pasture. Because the road, we know what that road is. You have to go slow, you have to be careful, and the added traffic is just crazy. But the area of Deer Lick Road in particular, you know, well, let me digress. I personally like to see Allison Road a no-through traffic road because we get FedEx trucks, UPS trucks, trucks from the businesses up by the airport that try to take a shortcut down to 11E and beyond. And it's just gotten crazy. That road can't support trucks like that. They can't even make the curve at Burine Road. But back to Deer Lick, I didn't see the sign on Deer Lick until literally 2 days ago. If you drive down Deer Lick Road, that's a peninsula out on Boone Lake. There's no traffic that isn't intended for basically residential farm use. It's not uncommon on Deer Lick Road to have to stop for chickens or goats or whatever. It's very rural. It's very rural. And it needs to stay very rural. I understand that you folks have to weigh the balance between progress and revenue and all that stuff, and it's not an enviable job, and I get it. But that particular area of land that juts out on Boone Lake, it is a peninsula, it's surrounded by Boone Lake. Development is inevitable, I understand that. But to retain the A1, at least there stands a chance of less traffic, less runoff into Boone Lake, which we just got back after, what has it been, 5 or 6 years now? That we've lost Boone Lake, and Boone Lake brings a lot to this area. And I'm sorry I look like whodunit today, but I had very little time to prepare. I'm a farmer. I worked all day. I didn't even have time to take a shower. I just went home and changed my clothes, and I know I look like, but I'm a farmer. I roll up my sleeves, I get dirty. That's my life. I come from a place, I come from a different place. I come from a place in the northeast of this nation where things were short-sighted and all things development were thought really, really good. The Connecticut River, which is now a heritage river, is blocked for the whole state of Connecticut by an interstate highway. Long Island Sound in Connecticut, because we were short-sighted and money-hungry, and that's the word, is blocked by a high-speed rail. You literally have to cross railroad tracks to get to the state park to access the ocean. And Connecticut's older than Tennessee, I understand that. But Connecticut was short-sighted. And that particular area of Piney Flats, you know, we're sandwiched in between Greenport and Kingsport and Johnson City and Bristol. It's a haven, that little spot, where most people make their living as farmers. And they're not just one thing farmers. They might have cows, they might have chickens, they might do hay, they do anything they can to make a living and preserve their way of life. And this proposed change to that zoning, especially in this particular piece of Piney Flats, is a threat to their way of life. And they've been there for generations. The King Farm, the Bowers Farm.
Ma'am, I will need you to summarize and wrap up, please.
They've been there for generations. It's a threat to their way of life, and, you know, it is a concern to the local school system, to water pollution, to increased traffic. It runs adverse to the community of Piney Flats, which is a holdout to decades past. Piney Flats is community. When someone's down, everybody steps up. It still holds that tradition, and that tradition is waning in this area of East Tennessee. And it's in everyone's best interest to preserve it. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for coming. Do we have others that would like to speak on? Yes, ma'am. You will give us your name and address for the record, please.
Rachel Call, 341 Geisler Road.
Thank you.
My family of five just moved to Piney Flats. We lived in Bristol. We weren't looking to move to Piney, but this particular neighborhood just struck our fancy. It's out, it's rural, there's fields as far as you can see, and it's gorgeous. Daily, I see deer, I see turkey. I also see a lot of poachers that already come in our neighborhood. I've heard gunshots. I've had a deer killed in my yard. Now, this is just since November. My concern is that if you put additional housing there, what is that going to do to the wildlife? To increase poaching. Just in a mile span, there's 27 signs of no trespassing, no hunting. So it is a problem. My fear is that it's only going to get worse. The road that passes by my house is narrow, so I'm concerned for the safety of the wildlife that's on that road, for people who walk that road, me and my family, for others who walk that road, for the safety of people who travel that road, because already people fly up and down. It just can't stand the traffic. It just can't. Lastly, I'm afraid that if that goes in, that will be an eyesore. I came from a subdivision. They're great, they're fine, but the reason that I moved out to the country is to get away from that. And I just don't really want to see that from my front porch. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this application? Yes, ma'am. Welcome. If you'll give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Laurel. I live on Deer Lick, 813 Deer Lick Road, Piney Flats, Tennessee, 37686. I don't want there to be a subdivision because I want to be able to study the stars. If there is more light pollution, no one can see them to study them. For years, people have been able to study the stars and gain wisdom. That is even how they found baby Jesus. There is also blue heron nests that will be disrupted. So many people, cars, houses, and pets in one place will mess with their habitat. Finally, with such small roads, people will get hurt if there are more cars on the road. Let's say you put 20 houses. Each house has 3 cars. That's 60 more cars on the road and a lot more car wrecks. I want to be able for me and my brothers to ride my bikes safely. So please, don't build a subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't feel like I got my 3 minutes. Would
Thank
it be
you.
too much to ask to speak? I was just up here a moment ago to present the petitions. You can't hear me.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your comments.
Sorry, I was gonna ask for my 3 minutes. I was just up here a moment ago just to present the petitions.
Well, I'm going to recognize you.
Thank you. Stacy Lawrence, Deer Lick Road. So I don't want to talk too much more about the taxes increased and the possible failure of septic tanks, which is a 10% rate of a private system septic tanks, and how that could affect Boone Lake, or the narrow cove that's out there, that there's already too much trash and too much traffic on that area. But I would just like to talk about just our basic needs of life. And I guess I'm also talking with Burlesons.
Well, we'll need you to make your point and
Okay.
move on.
I guess
Okay?
I'm talking with Burlesons also because it's their prerogative what to do with their property.
We don't do personal things here, but obviously it's their proposal.
All right.
Go ahead.
So there are 2 basic needs of life, and that's food and shelter. And there's plenty of areas in Piney Flats, in Gray, and all of the Sullivan County area for shelter. And those have been zoned appropriately as residential. And there's agriculture, which is right there on the great seal of the Sullivan County. agriculture is the top thing, and that is the thing that is endangered. And I heard a quote the other day, and it said, a couple times in your life, you're going to need a good doctor, a good lawyer, a good preacher, but 3 times a day, 7 days a week, you need a farmer. And so it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen, to protect that farmland and to keep that for the future generations. And not to put a lot of pressure on you all or the Burlesons, but in generations from now, if we don't protect that, our grandchildren are going to be ashamed of the decisions that we've made. And so I would just encourage you all to help us do that for the people who are getting by on selling hay and selling goats and chickens and those just beautiful ways of life, to help them and support them. So I know that the developers want some profit and we need tax money for certain things, but that tax money will come from our business side of things and from those residential properties. But I just plead with you to please protect the agricultural areas and to keep those agricultural, because I don't want to be in the hands of having to import everything from Mexico and China. I want us to be able to sustain our own community and our own families. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this application? I know the proponent, Mr. Burleson, is on the list. Anyone else?
One question.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
We only get one bite at the apple. Anyone else? Mr. Burleson, would you like to speak? No? Okay. Amber, this comes to the commission with a recommendation from the planning and zoning group. You had mentioned earlier that if you didn't feel like that all the bases have been touched, that the commission could defer if they choose to. Proponent would like to have a decision tonight. So I have a couple of people who want to be recognized. Commissioner Gardner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. You just touched on what I was wanting to ask about. One of the biggest points of contention that I'm hearing from the public is notification and conversation, community conversation. And I don't want to jump in front of the districts from that area. I'm assuming that's the Glover King district, am I correct? For the purpose of community conversation, would the landowner consider allowing a month deferral for just for that conversation to be had between the community and the developers and all the parties involved? And if it would require a motion, I would second it if it came from the commissioners from that district.
Commissioner Glover's sought recognition.
Okay.
You good?
I'm finished, thank you.
Mr. Glover, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't like surprises either, and I've been here for 3 years. And the complaints I get from weekly to weekly is planning and zoning issues. And I'm not going to jump up on no box this evening, but I'm a little bit ticked at, why do we even have planning and zoning if this is already done before we approach this? I started getting phone calls last week, end of the week about this, and I'm very familiar with that area. I'm very familiar with the people in that area. They are in our district, and they're good people. And they are right. When you got 170 names on a piece of paper, that says a lot. That says that they care about their community, they care about their family, and they care about the future of that community. And one of those young men that lives in that community is sitting on the front row beside my wife Brenda. And he's one of my concerns. He lives right beside the road. He's a young farmer. He's on tractors, he's on equipment, and he's working every day just like a grown-up would. And I'm very proud of him, very proud of that other young lady that stood up there and spoke and talked about the stars and her bicycle and so forth. That's a small community. That's a community within a community. And I can't support something like this happening to those folks. I just can't do it. And I think we need to approach this in a different way. If we need to take a month to sit down and discuss this and see what we can get worked out, Mr. Gardner I'll accept that motion. But I think it needs to be up to some of the folks that signed this petition tonight too, and also the landowner. Any other time, I would be 100% behind something like this. We need rooftops in Sullivan County. We're getting a lot of rooftops in Piney Flats. It's creating a lot of tax revenue, and that's something we need right now. But under the conditions that's been brought forward tonight, there's no way I can support this, and I won't. I've got to support my community. And if that's what we need to do to get this worked out, it is a very small road. It's very narrow. There are tractors, they are kids, they are animals. But that's what they want, and that's what they like. And we need to respect that. I think a subdivision in that area would be a bad idea. If the roads was improved, not so much. But I think we need to abide by what these folks have done. We need to listen to them. And if Ms. Orbit and the landowner would put this off the next month, my question is, if we don't approve this tonight, the landowner can still go ahead and put either single wides, double wides, or homes on 1 acre lots, correct?
That is correct. With the planning commission's approval, of course, full construction plans.
Okay. If we turn this down, if we vote this down tonight and go back to the drawing board, what would the future for that property be for the owner and the people in that area?
Well, he would just have to make the rear lots just a little bit bigger. And he could still accomplish, if you look across the cove, we have a subdivision on Hamilton Trail. Of course, those are predating our current regulations, and those are much smaller lots. We did change the regulations a year and a half ago to require a 1 acre minimum lot size in A1 to keep it more rural. So if this had come in 2 years ago, it would not even have been presented to the county commission.
Well, there's things like this that we probably need to revisit. And I've said that since I've been here. And it's happened with some other folks. There's a lot of things that could benefit the commission and the community too. And there's a lot of things that we need to look at to make that better for them. We work for them. They pay for us being here. I'm opposed to this. I'm opposed to it being a subdivision, period. I just feel like it's just the wrong area, it's the wrong thing to do. And if putting it off a month would help, the only way to widen that road is to get property from other owners in that area, and I just don't think that would happen. And it's just I'm sorry, but it's a sad situation. It really is. That's all I got to say. It's
Okay,
very,
we have a couple of
very
members.
frustrating.
I will come back to anyone who wants to make a motion. Dwight, I've got 2 members that have requested recognition. Would you go ahead and push your button and get on the board? Mr. George, you're recognized.
There you go.
Thank you. You know, we do represent everyone in the county, including the landowners. If we do not zone this landowner has 55 acres, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, as it stands, he can put 55 trailers on this property, which would create a whole different situation for that whole neighborhood. As, it does not have to come back to us. No, it does not.
They have to work.
No, they have to.
Let's don't have any side conversations here. I'll recognize anybody who wants to talk.
I will let Amber answer. My understanding is, because I served on planning board for 10 years, was if it is permitted within the zone, the only time it has to come back to planning board, it's a site, it's just, as long as it is what is allowed, they present it. It does not come to the commission. It is not something that can be turned down. Am I correct in that he could actually draw it out, take it to planning board, and there is no, it is the correct zoning, so it would not come back to this commission at all. So we would never see this again, and because of what the A1 allows as farmland, it allows one trailer, a single wide per acre. So, no matter, I mean, I understand the roads are bad out there, I understand a lot of things, but in looking at the choice we have for a possibility of 55 single wides, or a design subdivision of site-built house at a certain price point that will be people that hopefully will have kids, will invest in that community, are moving out there because they want a lot of the same things that the other people that live out there have. I feel the best thing to do would be to move for the actual subdivision, what we are looking at, which would be site-built homes versus single wides. What is on the table is, do you want site-built or do you want single wides? That's what's on the table. And if you all, that's what we're, I mean, that's what we are approving. And, you know, I look at that we represent everybody and with landowners, and if the land, if you want to control the land around you, you have to buy it and own it. And, you know, neighbors always would like land to continue to be, you know, trees and fields and beautiful, and I get it and I love it, but the decision we're making is, do you want to allow anything from a single wide on, or do you want a site-built design neighborhood? That's what's on the table, and I don't know why deferring it would make a difference. And I hate, as we need growth in Sullivan County, we need to work with developers. If we bring a developer up here, and those are the two options, and we make them wait a month, what message do we send to people that want to build in our community? I mean, this is the decision we're making. Do you want mobile homes or do you want site builds? And we're gonna tell developers, we can't make this for another month. I think that sends the wrong message to get growth in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Crawford. You're recognized. I guess this is a question for Amber. Amber, I'm sure you met all of the notification rules that you're regulated or that you're required to do. Is that correct?
Well, we did beyond the state and our code. We do not send letters beyond the immediate area. And the policy in the zoning resolution states letters to adjacent property owners. I thought we were going above and beyond by doing across the cove. Because again, we learned the hard way that if they can see it, they want to be notified. I'll take fault for the mishap with the sign not being put up right away. You know, I don't normally go out until I'm getting ready to do my staff report, but so I apologize for that. I'm sure more people would have seen it. We did get some phone calls. We were hoping they spread the word, which they did. And so I apologize for that. But yes, of course, we did the public notice 2 months ago and did the letters long before. None of them got sent back, so we have to assume they went to the taxpayers. But again, a subdivision, if you have enough land, the soil works out, you have public water, we've already checked it out, it has a large enough line to support fire hydrants, so there's nothing that I know of that would prevent the planning commission from approving a subdivision. That is a permitted use by right, if you have enough road frontage and so forth. So if you deny the rezoning request to R1 for just those 11 lots as proposed, I suppose the developer, landowner could come back and just make them a little bit bigger. Some of them are already an acre in size.
My question is, have we met our legal obligation?
Yes, sir, we have.
There's no way that the developer can come back against us or the zoning committee?
Not that I'm aware
Because no one was notified properly or anything like that?
We went above and beyond, but I realize there's a lot of side roads, and some of these signatures are beyond the immediate area, which that's great. Public participation is what we want. So, but I don't know if it would change the outcome for the better, unless the landowner just scrapped his plans altogether.
Mr. King. Thank you, Mayor. There again, I've lived in this area for all my life. I can remember when those roads was gravel roads. I can remember the road in front of my house was a gravel road. And the width of these roads haven't changed, but the traffic sure has. And as far as safety, I personally have had 3 tractors hit on Allison Road. I had a friend that farms with me, was hit head on there in Piney Flats. Twice, he's been hit twice. One, he had injuries and totaled a tractor. And that's what we're looking at. If I move a tractor anymore with any size to it, I've got somebody in front of me flagging for me. And that's you know, if I meet a UPS truck or a FedEx truck with his, when the new FedEx building was built at the airport, they're using Allison Road as a cut, you know, shortcut to go to Piney Flats to the industrial park. And you know, when they meet the buses and all, it's, you know, derelict road, you just about have to stop to let a bus come through. So as far as safety, there again, you know, the county, we've built subdivisions, we've raised people's taxes at, going from farmland to subdivisions, but we haven't kept up with the infrastructure in these areas. And, you know, I know that Piney Flats has grown. The census comes back that Piney Flats has grown. And, but we haven't done anything to our roads. And, you know, it's a safety issue. This road is, goes down to a peninsula. It's a one entrance in, one entrance out. And if there's anything that blocks the road, there's no other way to get in and out of that road. So as far as I'm concerned, safety of our kids on the school buses and the safety of our farmers that's out there on the road with tractors and stuff trying to make a living, I think there's a concern there. I think there's a concern that Sullivan County as a whole hasn't kept up with the infrastructure and improved these roads. I know we've got 900 miles of roads to look after, but if we're going to start building subdivisions back in these smaller, narrow roads, we're going to have to do something for the safety of the people going in and out. So, with that, and there again, as far as single wides, double wides, whatever, I know what the property sold for at auction, and it just don't work out to put single wide mobile homes on that property. You're going to have fairly high dollar homes to come out if you're going to develop. So the threat of putting mobile homes on that property, I think that's kind of a farce to, you know, reaching out there. But there again, if the landowner wants to put mobile homes on it, that's their choice. But if you're looking to make a development and make money off of it, I don't think mobile homes are the right fit with that property. And, you know, there again, a lot of people in that area live in mobile homes, you know, and I'm not against people living in mobile homes. I lived in one for 7 years when I first got started. And, you know, sometimes that's what people can afford, and that's what they can live in. So I don't think we need to look down people's noses, or our noses, at somebody else because they live in a mobile home. That might be what they can afford, and that's, a lot of people are proud of their homes. Whether it's a mobile home or double wide or $1 million home. That's our home, and
they pay taxes on it, and, I think we've got to look at that area. It's a rural area. A lot of small-time farmers that have lived there for years, worked the ground, paid their taxes. A lot of them raised tobacco for years, took their tobacco check to pay the taxes. And now a lot of those are passed on, and their children are growing up, and they don't have anything to do with farming, so they're going to, sell the land. And that's the, I guess that's part of the attraction to Piney Flats is you can go to Piney Flats and buy a small section of land, and that's what people are looking for. And in the last 2 years, we've had probably 300 new homes built in Piney Flats. So where's enough is enough, and there again, without us building roads and putting more infrastructure in there to make it safe for people to go out there, I just can't support this. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones.
Seems like we keep getting hung up on mobile homes. He can put a single wide, a double wide, or he can put a stick-built home. It just has to be an acre lot, where it's a half acre or 3/4 now.
Right.
They can put any size home they want on an acre lot. If a person wants to buy that acre and put a $300,000 home on it, they can do that. It doesn't have to be a mobile home. We're kind of stuck on that. And if you look at the size of the property, you're only looking at that front part. There's a lot of property behind it that's not more convenient to build on. It could be, but it'd take a lot of infrastructure, road development to take it all the way back into the 55 acres. So, it's not just mobile homes.
Thank you, Commissioner Vance, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amber, the property between partial 40 and 41, that road that runs down to the dead end, that's a subdivision, right?
It is. That is correct.
Okay. I understand, I talked to Ms. Lawrence on the phone, and I understand their frustration and concerns about this property. And I understand the conversation about the road and the safety issue and so forth, about the traffic and so forth, but let me say this. A controlled development of an R1 would be a lot better for those property owners down there, because it would be more of a planned development than just leaving it as an A1. When we talk about roads in this county, we talk about how narrow they are and so forth. There's something that was said many years ago, said here on planning, that if we had development in this county, then we would have a larger need to upgrade some of our roads that we have in the county. So why don't we be positive towards development and good development in this county? And why don't we be looking at ways to improve areas like this on the roads and the traffic? Because it wouldn't justify going out and doing road improvements to a very dense populated area such as this area is. So I think in the best interest, and it won't be a popular interest, but in the best interest of the property owners on Deer Lick would be to approve the rezoning and have a good development out there. And the commissioners in that area, I understand Piney Flats is a very growing area. But also remember at a time that Piney Flats and the Sullivan County line landed at the river bridge on 11E, and many developments that were turned away back in the 90s because of opposition for development on a 4-lane highway. Now, since Johnson City came up to the crossroads, the Johnson City side of 11E has developed atrociously, and it has caused issues on Allison Road. And I go back to the census. You know, we saw very little growth in this county when it comes to population. We used to be, in the 90s, we used to be the 5th largest county in the state of Tennessee out of 95, and we're 9th. Washington County is having a large amount of growth in Washington County, Tennessee, and the Jonesboro area. Their census numbers come in that they're at 133, and we're at 158. Johnson City's fixing to leave us. There are only 25,000 less residents of Sullivan County. I understand about rural areas. Rural areas are becoming less, and across the state, it's coming less. Not that it isn't important, it's very important. But looking at this land, and you've got a developer wanting to develop it, R1 is the best thing possible sitting on the table. I think that's probably why the Planning Commission and the staff has both recommended this. Because you have a subdivision that's already been approved right beside of it. And that's all we're doing is approving something that's already been created in that area. So how do you tell the property owners in Burleson, no, you can't develop your property into subdivision, but the property right beside of it has been approved? I believe in treating everybody equally and fairly. And I understand the upsets and the concerns of the residents down there. But I think it's already made its case for itself that the property beside of it is a subdivision. I wanted to say that. That's not a popular thing, but it's something that has to be looked at as we try to get this county to grow. To bring the population of this county, the census up, do organized growth. This is organized growth by being zoned R1. And we as a county needs to look in areas all across this county of areas that roads need to be widened and improved. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vance. Mr. Glover, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Commissioner Vance, have you ever been on that road?
I sure have.
You have?
Yes, sir.
Would
I
you?
got friends in that subdivision.
Okay, good. I'm glad you have. I'm glad you spend time in other people's districts. I'm glad you spend time.
Let's keep this.
For 3 years, we've sat here, and we've always had respect for other commissioners and other districts. And every single month, it's the same thing. Somebody always noses in somebody else's district. The folks in that area don't want this development, and it's plain with the 170-some signatures that's on the paper. And I think that speaks for itself, and I am finished.
Mr. King, you're recognized.
Well, I don't want to, something Mr. Vance said, spurred something. Piney Flats, at one time, the reason that Johnson City is in Piney Flats is sewer. Sullivan County would not give sewer to Gillfield and Dogwood. They went to Johnson City and petitioned them, and Johnson City came up, and that was the whole start of that whole area of Johnson City moving into Sullivan County. Johnson City never did annex Gillfield or Dogwood Acres, but the Food City and all that area from there back to the county line, that's the reason it was developed, is they needed sewer. Sullivan County wouldn't give it to them, and so Johnson City came in, agreed to it, and that's the reason that all the growth is going to Johnson City and not staying in Sullivan County. And that's facts. That's just the way it is. And unless we come up with sewer for that area, it'll continue to go that way. Johnson City's collecting it. They're sending it to Bristol, to Beaver Creek, and they're treating. So it's a cooperation between Johnson City and Bristol, but I think Piney Flats got left out, and all that could be in tax money for Piney Flats, but that's history, that's gone, and we've got to deal with what we've got to deal with. But still, We had a chance years ago when the federal government gave us money to build these sewer plants. We opted out to give it to the cities. We give it to Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City, and Bluff City, and then we got, the rural part got left out, so.
Thank you. I always love to hear a history of Sullivan County, and I don't want to enter into debate, but I've got to make a comment. We have 24 commissioners here that are making decisions all over this county. That's our system. We have a representative government here in Sullivan County. Now, whether Mr. Gardner or Mr. Pierce are totally familiar with an area, they're asked to make a decision on it, and so they do their due diligence. And so I would make one more comment. Mr. King, you know a lot of history of this county. You really do, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Been around too long.
But I would remind the county commission that the Piney Flats area, the district over there, was the last ones to accept zoning in this county. And so we're where we are, sins of the father. No, ma'am, I cannot recognize you. We've had public hearing. So I told Commissioner Gardner I would come back to him for a motion if he so wished, and also Commissioner Glover. And you're not required to do that because I came back to you. I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
I would actually rather that motion to defer come from the district, the commissioners from that district, but I'll be happy to second it.
Okay. And I'll be happy to recognize Mr. Glover. He does not choose to make that.
Okay.
Choose to be recognized. Okay, this comes to you in a positive manner. And we've had the public hearing, we've had, everybody has had an opportunity to speak. So, it comes to you, so we're gonna put it on the board, you don't need a motion. Put it on the board, vote yea or nay. And, yes to approve the application. And it's a complicated issue, and I understand that, it really is. As long as everybody understands it, we'll go forward. When the board opens, cast your vote on application number 1. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
5 yes, 1 abstain, 12 no, 6 absent.
The application is rejected. Ms. Torbett, you're recognized on application number 2.
Okay, thank you. If you'll flip with me, Miss Stephanie Moore's application is on Dry Branch Road in the Bluff City area. Her request is to rezone her property from R1 to A1. And if you'll flip through, if you can go ahead and flip through the slides. This area is outside the city limits of Bluff City. And flip, there you go, thank you. It's a large tract, she already lives there, and the tract adjacent to it already has a house on it. Her request to rezone it to A1 is so that she can build a larger barn, multi-purpose residential garage and barn. She is a retired school teacher and wants to devote her retirement to farming it. And so it went to our planning commission last month. And it comes to you unanimously recommended from our planning commission. I did include some pictures. Are they included? Thank you. You can see she lives on the top of the hill. And flip through again, please, ma'am. There's her home. It's a long gravel driveway. I think there's one more picture. Oh, no, okay. So she has, her goal is just to build a bigger building. Multi-purpose, and that's pretty much it. There was no opposition to this request. If you look at the broader view of the county zoning map, some of the very large tracts are zoned A1. Everything approaching La City was zoned R1. So this is sort of the reverse of the previous request.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Have any questions for Ms. Corbett? See, Todd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Any opposition on this or anything, or is everybody happy with this one?
There was no opposition. Thank you.
Commissioner King.
Is this barn agriculture?
It's multi-purpose. We've already told her it could be exempt, but she wants it multi-purpose. So she just wants a larger building than what she has. So she's going to tear down one and build a bigger one.
So what can she use it for? What can she use it for?
Residential storage and also agriculture.
Camper, boat?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions? Okay, I'm going to recess for public comment. Anybody in the chamber that would like to speak on this application? Good to see you. Any final words, Ms. Torber, before we vote?
Pretty straightforward.
Comes to the commission in a positive manner, so when the board opens, cast your vote on application number 2. Can't be this easy. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
17 yes, 1 abstain, 6 absent.
Have received the necessary majority, the application is approved.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I've not had a longer hour and a half than we just went through. And I do want to take just a brief recess, but let me say, I think everybody sympathizes with you when you get into personal property rights, because we all have very strong feelings, and I don't think we do anything more important than to allow people the use of the land that conforms with the best interest of the county. So I admire you greatly when you have to make these decisions, but they have to be made, and that's why you get the big bucks. We're going to recess for 10 minutes. Be back here.